In today's video, we'll see a fish with a face that only its mother could love, and an ancient shark that is the stuff of nightmares. But first, let's take a look and get disgusted by these little creatures with a bad eating habit. Sea pigs. There's really nothing more terrifying than seeing thousands of little critters crawling about the floor, about to devour a rotting carcass down to nothingness. Sounds like a plot for a Stephen King book, but this scene actually does happen on a daily basis. You just don't see it because it happens on the ocean floor, of course. Sea pigs, probably named because of their less than favorable eating habits, are a kind of sea cucumber, littering most of the world's ocean floor, even the deepest and the darkest parts, and they number in the millions. Sea pigs make use of their various face tentacles to scavenge some of the most delicious decayed materials and dead carcasses they can find on the seafloor. This makes them very important in the ecosystem, keeping everything clean and detritus-free. They have no natural predators, mostly because their skin is laced with deadly poison. They are, however, prone to a particularly nasty parasite that consumes their flesh from the inside out. They're also vital to maintain the king crab population healthy, as they become living nurseries for baby king crabs, giving them a higher chance of reaching maturity. The Goblin Shark. We've talked about the goblin sharks quite a few times, but for those who are unfamiliar, goblin sharks are extremely rare deep-sea creatures that are often referred to as living fossils because of a couple of things. One, just look at it. It's definitely prehistoric. And two, their species can be traced back about 125 million years. This makes them one of the oldest sea creatures still in existence. These ancient animals are widely distributed across the globe and have been found inhabiting the Pacific, Indian, and Atlantic Oceans. They're also pretty large for deep-sea animals and can grow up to 4 meters in length and weigh as much as 440 pounds. For the longest time, scientists thought that these monsters only inhabited the deep sea, and oh, how wrong they were. Scientists have studied the stomach contents of these sharks and determined that they must swim in both deep and shallow waters. You are highly unlikely to come across one during your next beach vacation, but still, I think we'd all much prefer if these terrifying-looking animals stayed as far down in the ocean's depths as possible. The Northern Stargazer. Just look at that face. If that don't haunt you in your nightmares tonight, then I don't know what will. Also known as the Popeye fish and tube-nosed stargazer, the Northern Stargazer looks quite strange and very distinct with their large heads, flat foreheads, and speckled flat bodies. Their nostrils, gill slits, eyes, and most of their mouth are found on top of their bodies, and that's by design. You see, stargazers are ambush predators. They bury themselves in the sand, leaving only its lovely face exposed. Once prey is near, they open their large mouths, creating a powerful vacuum and suck their food in, which mostly consists of crabs and shrimp. They are also a danger to divers, because although they're not as potent as the lionfish or the stonefish, they also do carry powerful venom in their spines. Hence, stepping on one of these fish, albeit accidentally, will be the start of a very bad day indeed. Not only content with poisoning you, they can also electrocute you as well. Northern stargazers have an organ on their heads that can create an electric charge that can reach up to 50 volts. Not really enough to kill a person, but more than enough to stun prey or discourage predators. The Pacific football fish. Looking for a creature that looks like it isn't from Earth? Then look no further than the Pacific football fish. The Pacific football fish was first discovered in 1985 by a group of deep-sea fishermen. It belongs to the family of anglerfish. You know, those fish that are always included in lists about terrifying monsters of the deep, including ours. There are currently over 300 known species of anglerfish, and all of them have had a bad reputation, albeit unwarranted. You might not look it, but they're absolutely not dangerous fish. To us, at least. The Pacific football fish became one of the most well-known deep-sea creatures in the world following the release of Finding Nemo. The first dorsal fin along its back extends forward and is bioluminescent, which means that it emits its own light. This tiny light is used to lure the fish's prey. This absolutely terrifying animal lives at depths from 2,000 to 3,300 feet deep, where both light and food are hard to come by. As a result, they're not picky eaters, and these fish will eat anything that it comes across. Some of its most common meals include crustaceans and squids. The Fang Tooth. With fangs that large, Fang Tooth fish are really the stuff of nightmares. Though fairly small in size, growing to only around 6 inches, this critter boasts the greatest teeth-to-body size ratio of any fish in the ocean. Juvenile Fang Tooth spend their youth near the ocean's surface. They don't have their massively famous fangs yet, so they feed primarily on zooplankton until they come out. When they do come out, however, they swim down to the ocean depths where they graduate to eating smaller fish, crustaceans, and squid. Despite an adult's fearsome appearance, however, it's actually kinda defenseless. Its small, milky blue eyes aren't very powerful, so it relies on a lateral line. The lateral line is a sensitive organ that runs down the side of its body, and they use it to pick up movement and temperature changes. In order to avoid predators, the fish has also evolved a special ultra-black skin with concentrated pigment that also absorbs 99.5% of light. This effectively lets it hide in plain sight. Out of sight, out of mind, or in this case, out of sight, out of stomach. There's only 2 known species of Fang Tooth, the first one featured here and the shorthorn Fang Tooth, which is much smaller. The Stonefish. Another regular of top 5 best, we also have another fish that's much like the Stargazer, which likes to bury itself in the sand. The Stonefish is one fish that you really don't want to accidentally step on. Mind you, not an easy task, as they're perfectly camouflaged to look like the many rocks that litter the ocean floor. So if you do step on one, call for help immediately, as they're known to be the most venomous fish in the world. Stonefish are found in rocky or muddy bottoms of marine habitats in the Indo-Pacific region. They have 13 spines lining its back that release venom under pressure. If you do inadvertently step on a stonefish thinking it's a harmless rock, it will pop up its dorsal spines and release venom from 2 sacs at the base of each spine. Unsurprisingly, the more venom that's injected, the worse it is for you. Stings tend to result in terrible pain, swelling, necrosis, and if you received a particularly large amount of venom, even death. Fortunately, very few deaths have been attributed to these guys, but they do happen. So, if the beach you're going to just so happens to be infested with these fish, always wear water shoes and please, always look where you walk. The sarcastic fringehead. Notice how the predator's mouth not only opens vertically, but also sideways? Well, here's an earthling that does that as well, and it's arguably more terrifying than any alien predator. Many people haven't heard of the sarcastic fringehead. Found primarily off the Pacific coast of North America, these fish are usually less than 10 inches long, and at first glance, they're really not much to look at. Granted, I wouldn't be too quick to judge. These guys are fascinating once they open up. And by opening up, I mean their unusually large mouths lined with needle-like teeth. And literally armed to the teeth, they fight off anything that comes too close, no matter the size of the intruder. For such a small fish, they're extremely brave and never back down from a fight. Watching this little guy fight really is something. Once one of them decides an animal has gotten too close, it'll warn them by opening its mouth as wide as possible. It will do this a few times to try to scare their opponent off before moving into attack mode. Many divers have reported being harassed by a grumpy fringehead after getting too close to its home. Thankfully though, their small size means they're not really a threat to humans, as long as you don't poke your fingers where they don't belong. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Believe it or not, this photo actually isn't photoshopped and 100% real. Work of art, that is. Manfish out of water. A merman isn't something you expect to see washed up on a gallery floor, but at Connor Smith's Academy 2014, Cameron Stahlheim's fantastical creature took center stage. So yeah, not real as in fished out of the ocean depths, but a real work of art. This is not Stahlheim's first venture into mythical beasts as well. Decapitated head of a unicorn, anyone? This is just but one of the many wonderful, albeit weird things that Stahlheim has made. His medium of choice is primarily resin, and given the fact that resin can be formed into just about anything, it's only the artist's imagination that limits him. However, by the looks of it, Stahlheim is an artist that lets his imagination run wild. The faceless cuskey. The faceless cuskey doesn't often have a name that belongs to horror stories, but it also has the look for it. Its name is basically the best description of it, an eel without a face. Kinda like that Slenderman guy, but he's in the deep sea. I wonder what he's doing nowadays since Five Nights at Freddy's became popular. Either way, sightings of this fish are as rare as a hen's teeth. This fish hasn't been seen since it was first collected by the historic HMS Challenger during its first expedition, until it was rediscovered in 2017 just off the coast of Australia. This fish doesn't have defined eyes and its mouth is located underneath its body, giving it the appearance of not having a face. They do have eyes, but they're just under the fish's skin. Think of kinda like Zubat from Pokemon. Even if they are one of the rarest fish in the world though, they're not believed to be endangered. Researchers have reason to believe that they are widely distributed and can be found from the Arabian Sea to Hawaii. Thing is, since they live at depths of 13,000 feet and deeper, seeing or catching one is pretty unlikely. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. The frilled shark. And of course we end today's list with a shark, but not just any shark. This is probably the scariest looking shark out there, looking more like a monster than even the great white. I'm talking about the frilled shark. With its grisly appearance, the frilled shark is the perfect example of a living fossil, an animal whose appearance hasn't changed much for millions of years. If I'm being honest, it looks more lizard-like than a fish. It also has a very large mouth armed with multiple rows of sharp, three-pronged teeth. They grow up to 7 feet long, live in the deep ocean, and feed on squid and sometimes fish, and if they can manage it, even other sharks. Aside from that though, not much is known about this enigmatic yet terrifying creature of the deep. See you guys next time!